Good morning, students. Today we start with a new chapter of economics, chapter number 9, trade. We have learnt about trade in the previous standards. Let us understand this terminology in more detail. Try this. Obtain the following information. Make a list of commodities which you use daily. Now the things that you use daily, you have to make a list of it. Let us say we require milk, tea powder, we require bread or biscuits. As a student, you will require pen, pencil, notebooks. These days we require umbrellas because it is the rainy season. Sanitizers, masks are in great demand. So these are some of the things that you are using daily. Who uses these commodities? Of course, we use this commodity. We, the one who use a commodity, are known as the consumers. So the consumer uses the commodity, or we as the consumer uses the commodities. Write the source of the supply of these commodities. Now where does this commodities come from? Let us take the example of milk. Is it so that the shop that you go to buy milk, there is a cow or a buffalo tied behind the shop and the shopkeeper milks the cow or the buffalo and gives you the milk? No, of course. Or suppose you want to buy a pen. You go to the shopkeeper and tell the shopkeeper that you want Pentonic or a Link pen. Do they have a machine behind the shop where as soon as the demand is there, they produce that pen and give it to you? No. Shopkeeper is just selling the things that have come to him, which are manufactured in some other place. So the sources of this supply of the commodity are various, are coming to them from other places. From where do you buy these commodities? Now we buy commodities maybe from the general store, maybe from the market, maybe from the local vendor, or maybe the malls. So we buy these commodities from general store, malls, markets, etc. What do you call the act of buying and selling? The act of buying and selling is called as the trade, the name of our chapter. What does the shopkeeper take in lieu of the commodity? What do you give to the shopkeeper in exchange? When you buy a pen or when you take the milk from the milkman, you have to give him something in return. What do you give to that person? Of course, money. So shopkeeper takes money in lieu of the commodity. No one is going to give you things for free. Am I right? So we have answered the questions. From where do these commodities come to the market? From where have you brought them and what is the main source? So commodities come to the market from different places. For example, onion comes from some other place, coriander leaves come from some other place, potatoes come from some other place, fruits that you require are coming to you from other places. So the commodities do not come to you from one place but from many other places. From where have you brought them? From market, from local vendor, from the general store, from the malls, etc. Obtain this information and write it against the commodities in the list. Hold a discussion in the class about the obtained information. Let us move ahead. Geographical explanation. On the basis of the information obtained above, you will realize that we can buy goods we need from the shops, markets, or malls around us. So you get the things, the goods, the commodities from the shops, markets, or mall around us. Generally, the seller of these goods are not the manufacturer of the goods. For example, the Link pen that you have brought from the shopkeeper is just the seller of that good. He is not the one who has produced that good. Am I right? So the seller and the producer or the manufacturer are different person. Manufacturer or the producer had produced the goods. It has come to your local shop and you are buying your commodity from that local shopkeeper. So the seller and manufacturer of the goods are different persons. They bring this commodity from somewhere else. So the local shop, the general store, the kirana store near you will be keeping all the commodities required in your locality, and all these commodities have come to his shop from different places. It is not necessary that these commodities are manufactured in your surrounding. For example, Amul milk, the packet milk that you get. Amul factory is in Anand, Gujarat. Ling factory is in Vapi, Gujarat. The Alfonso mango canned tin comes from Ratnagiri. So can you see, things that you get are not manufactured in your surrounding, but it has come to you from those far off places. They are manufactured at a place far away, maybe in some other city, maybe in some other state, at times in some other country. They could be first brought by retail seller from the wholesale market, factories, agriculture product market communities, etc., and then they reaches us. So these are the different persons. The local shopkeeper is nothing but the retail seller. The retailer has brought it from the wholesaler. Maybe the wholesaler has gone to the factory, or maybe to APM market. Now students, you must be knowing there is an APM market at Vashi where things are brought on a major scale, on a very vast scale. That means it is a wholesale market. Small retailers go there and buy the things in bulk, and then it reaches us. We have various needs in our day-to-day life. We can buy various things to satisfy these needs. When we buy them, we create demand for them. So now some important terminologies are coming your way. Demand or your want. Milk in the morning that you require, the pen that you require as a student are all your wants. When you have a want, you order them, you demand for them. So demand, you demand a commodity, you demand the goods. To fulfill the demand of these products, the production of these goods is carried out. So when there is a demand, somebody will be supplying you that. So the producers start producing the goods. Now if you are not demanding, no one will be producing the goods. So where there is a demand, there is a supply. The production takes place. For example, nowadays we require masks, sanitizer, shields, etc. So there is a demand for this product, for these products. So the production of this goods is taking place. So demand, production, producer. The producer supply these goods. The producer is the one who produces these goods. He has made the goods available. In other words, he sells them to the wholesaler. So the one who has originally produced the good is known as the producer. So the producer, he has produced the goods. The wholesaler buys the goods from him on a large scale, and then the wholesaler will be giving it to the retailer. Retailer will be making it available to the consumer. So you understand that chain, students? Production is done by the producer. Wholesaler buys the things from the producer or the manufacturer. Retailer buys the things from the wholesaler, and we are the consumer who buys the things from the retailer. Thus, the buying and selling of the goods done to fulfill each other's need. Those who purchase the goods are known as the consumer. So we are the consumer. The producer is producing the goods, but there is a link in between the consumer, the final consumer, and the original producer. There is a chain of traders, maybe the wholesaler, maybe the retailer in between, and finally we get those things to be consumed. The producer produces them, and the seller sells the goods, and the consumer consumes the good. So the producer, many sellers in between, and finally the consumers. Buyers and the sellers buy and sell the goods respectively. This is called as a trade. I repeat, buyers and seller sells the goods respectively. This is called as trade. So can you see this diagram? A very important diagram, concept of trade, where there is demand, there is supply. So if you are demanding certain things, the producer will be producing and making those things available to you. So demand, supply leads to trade. When a thing is brought, it is being sold. So where there is buying, there is selling. Where there is demand, there is supply. And this demand, supply, this buying and selling leads to trade. Is that very clear? I repeat once again. Where there is demand, there is supply. Where there is buying, there is selling of the goods. Let us continue the chapter. Now we will see the importance of trade. After seeing the concept of trade, now let us move towards importance of trade. Trade is an economic activity. The word economic activity means related to money. Economic activity means where money is involved. So trade is an important economic activity. The economic life of people is interdependent. Money spent by one becomes the income for the other. No region or country is self-sufficient. No region or country can say that they are self-sufficient. No one today will be able to say that we are self-sufficient, will not be buying anything from anybody else or giving anything to any other country. Let us take the example. Gulf countries are having abundance of mineral oil, but there is no agriculture production in that country. So Gulf country will be exporting the mineral oil. At the same time, they will be buying agriculture products from the other countries. In this way, we will see that no country is self-sufficient or no region is self-sufficient. If Punjab is growing abundant of rice, it is not growing tea or coffee. So Punjab will be selling rice and wheat and will be buying tea and coffee from some other state of the country. So no country today is self-sufficient. Trade between two regions is necessary to fulfill the needs of the people. When the two regions buy and sell those things or give and take those things, then only the needs of the people will be fulfilled. Then only the people of those areas will be able to get everything. For example, people from Kerala will be able to eat wheat and people of Punjab will be able to drink tea and coffee. As each region has different geographical condition, each region produces specific commodities. Geographical condition is very necessary, and as geographical condition is different in different parts of the world, only that specific commodity will be grown in that region. For example, hills of Assam, the climate there, the height of the mountain, the type of the soil is conducive for growing tea plants. So tea is grown only in those areas. Or let us take another example. Again, the soil, the climate, the temperature of Kashmir is such that saffron or apples are grown in that area and not in any other area. As for that matter, again the soil, the climatic condition, the weather, the temperature of Ratnagiri, in particular Devgarh, is conducive for growing those sweet, lovely mangoes. So, as each region have different geographical condition, each region produces specific commodity. Let us move ahead. If there is a paucity of a commodity, then there is demand of that commodity. Let us understand the word paucity. Paucity means in less quantity. Paucity means in less quantity. If something is in less quantity in one particular region or is not grown in that particular region, there is a demand for that commodity in that region. So paucity, you have understood, is something in less quantity, something which is in deficit. The place where there is an abundant a place where there is abundant provides the supply of the commodity. So place where the things are grown in large quantity, are in abundant, that area will be supplying to the area where there is paucity of that commodity. So there will be give and take between area of paucity and area of abundant. Area of abundant will give those things to the area where there is paucity, and area where there is paucity will be taking from the area where it is in abundant. I hope it is clear. Paucity means where it is produced in less quantity or it is not produced at all, and abundant means where it is in surplus, in large quantity. So the area having the thing in large quantity will be supplying that commodity to the area of paucity. So area of paucity will be having demand for that commodity, and an area having abundant will be the supplier of the commodity. Thus, supply is done from region producing excess commodity to region facing deficit according to the demand. So region having deficit or region having paucity will be demanding, and region which is having abundant or which is having excess of that commodity will be supplying the same. For example, apples produced in Jammu and Kashmir are sent to other states of India having demand for it. You can give many examples here. I have given some in the previous paragraph. So areas having deficit will be demanding, areas having excess will be doing the supply. And as you know, where there is demand and where there is supply, trade takes place. We move ahead to the next page, page number 68. Do you know? Trade is an age-old concept. The word age-old means which is practiced since very long time, since time immemorial. So trade was in existence since very old time. It was there right from the Stone Age time. So trade is an age-old concept. In ancient and medieval periods, trade was done through the barter system. Let us understand the meaning of the word barter system. In the barter system, goods were exchanged against goods. Money was not involved in this sort of trade. You give goods, you take goods in exchange. So such a type of trade is called as barter system. You can also call this trade as cashless trade. You offer your services, in exchange of that you get grains or you get oil, salt, honey, milk, etc. So such a type of trade is called as barter system. I am reading that part. In this, there was an exchange of goods with other goods. Grain were exchanged in lieu of the work done, or oil, salt, honey and milk were exchanged for grains. There was no currency used in this trade. Even today, we see traders who exchange utensil in lieu of old clothes. You see the picture below. Clothes are old clothes, used clothes are exchanged in exchange of utensils. But can you see the bargain going on there? A sari is being shown and a vessel is being demanded against it. You must have seen your mothers doing the same, right students? Your mother must be giving old used clothes and taking some utensils in exchange, or you must have seen some other person doing that, but a lot of bargain is involved in that. The person selling those utensils will be asking for more clothes, and the person who is going to buy the utensils will be saying that only this much clothes are available and I want this particular vessel. So what is the problem faced in such a sort of trade? Estimation of proper price of the commodity. Now that exchange value cannot be determined. how many clothes in exchange of this particular vessel. So even in those time when the barter system was in existence, this sort of exchange or this sort of problem was faced during exchanging, the problem of estimation of proper price. So to overcome such problem, currency was introduced, use of money was started. Earlier too such problem was encountered. As a result, the use of currency started. Today, in this modern age, trade is carried out with the help of currency only. So every trade that is done during this time, the import or export between the countries, money is involved, currency is involved. There is no barter system existing now. But barter system is still prevalent in small extent in remote areas amongst the tribal people. In the tribal people in some remote corner of the world, barter system of some form or the other is still existing. For example, a farmer requires the help of some workers, some laborers in his field. The tribal people are ready to offer their services. They come to work in their field. After working the whole day, they will be getting grains against the work that they have offered, the services that they have done. Clear, students? Students, below that picture, can you see can you tell is there? But this can you tell is not there in the new syllabus. According to the reduced syllabus, this can you tell part is omitted. So we move ahead to the other side of the page. Geographical explanation. We come to that part. You can see two pictures here, 9.2a and 9.2b. In the first picture, you can see a lady has gone to the greengrocer. She is buying some vegetable. The vegetable vendor is handing over her the bag and she is giving him the money. So against the money she have received some goods. The goods are in her hand. Such a type of a trade is called as visible trade, where against your money you have got certain goods in your hand. But come to the picture below. A patient has gone to the doctor. The doctor is advising the patient. Here only medical advice is given, but no medicine is offered. But still that patient is giving money to the doctor. Now what is this? Money has exchanged the hands, but no good have come in the hand of that patient. Am I right? Will that patient say that I have not received any goods, so I will not give you money? Even if he have not received goods, he have received suggestions, he have received advice from the doctor. So the doctor has offered his or her services, and for the services, the person, the client, the patient is giving money. Such a type of a trade is called as invisible trade, where no goods are in your hand, but still you have to give money. Such a type of a trade is called invisible trade. Students, can you give more example of invisible trade? Okay, I think I will be helping you all. A teacher, when a teacher teaches you, you don't get anything in your hand. Am I right? We are not talking about homework. You get a lot of homework. Apart from that, do you get anything else? Are you carrying something home? No. But for that you are paying fees. Am I right? So that fees that you are offering, against that you are getting services of the teacher. Same thing is applicable when you go to a lawyer. You are getting the lawyer's advice, and for that you are paying fees for the same. So here no goods are in your hand. You don't get goods for the money that you are giving, but you get services. Such a type of a trade is called as invisible trade. Now is it clear? So we stop here today. We'll continue the lesson next time. Thank you.